What is the most dangerous situation that you got into because you were horny? I was a single guy, trying to find a date on Craigslist. I reached out to this outdoorsy, super fit, adventurous woman. We talk, we hit it off, so I invite her on a first date, to go for a nice long hike in the Oregon wilderness. I picked her up from her place. She had a backpack full of survival gear with a machete strapped to the side. I thought bringing it along was kind of weird, but my desire to spend some time with this girl clouded my judgment. We go out into the wilderness, go for a hike. It starts out great at first. A few miles in, we come across a river. We decided to go skinny dipping and had some crazy sex by the river. Afterwards, we are covered in mud and other things, but decide to start heading back. She decides she doesn't want to get dressed again. She also wants to take a shortcut, insisting she knows the way. This naked woman covered in mud pulls out her machete and starts hacking away through the brush. Sticks and thorns from blackberries tear at her skin along the way, adding blood to the mixture of things on her body. We went her way for quite a while. She was growing increasingly frustrated and angry. Finally, I tell her that I think we are going the wrong way, and I was going to go a different way. She objected, but ultimately decided to start following me. I got us back to a highway, and kind of teased her that I was the one that figured it out. She then grabs some nearby roadkill and throws it at me. I was rather pissed about this, but I decided just to get this over with. We walk along the highway, her still naked, until we get back to my car. Only one person drove past us on the way back. I couldn't even imagine what they thought seeing me being followed by a muddy and bloody naked woman wielding a sword. I tell her she can't get into my car unless she puts her clothes back on. After some arguing, she finally does. We had a long and awkwardly quiet drive home. I dropped her off at her place, and never spoke to her again. I think I have posted this on Reddit before, but back when I was exploring the world of online dating apps, I almost got set up for something bad. I was working the night shift at a call center, so meeting women was tough, and dating a coworker is always a bad idea in my opinion, so I signed up for the usual sites in 2014. Had some connections that fizzled out, one connection that went okay for a bit but wasn't quite right either. Then an attractive woman matches with me and shoots me a message, we start talking and it's cool. We both work weird hours, and have some similar but not matching tastes. We messaged back and forth in-app for maybe a week. She hits me up one night as I am heading home from work and asks me if I want to meet her after she gets off work for coffee at a nearby Waffle House. I work till midnight, so we would be meeting up around 1 a.m. I am a large white man living in a metropolitan area in Florida, so I tend to not worry too much about being attacked by strangers, and she's cute and it's been a while for me, so I agree to meet up. I pull into the parking lot and the first thing I notice is there is only one customer seated in the Waffle House, and it is clearly an elderly man. The parking lot has no street lights, so the only light in the lot is what spills out of the windows of the diner. Standing off to the side of the front of the building, you can just see several people milling about in a group. You can see a few cigs lighting up here and there in the group as people drag on them, and can just barely make out other people not smoking. Something like 4 to 6 people is what it looked like. Alarms go off immediately. So I park my car. Keep it running with the doors locked and lights on. And I shoot her a message in the app, asking if she is on the way. I see one of the people in the group pull up a phone like they are reading a message and type a reply. She replies quickly that she is already inside. I ask if she's at the table or counter. She says she is sitting at a table waiting for me. And again, the only person in the group outside that I have seen who uses a phone pulls theirs out exactly when she gets my message, types something into their phone, and then I get her response. So at this point I'm certain this is a setup. I text her back and ask if she is sitting at a table inside. Why is it I only see an elderly man eating alone and the staff working? Dude's phone lights up again, and then the group starts to move away from the building itself and towards my car, but it's already in gear and I just roll out of there. Her profile was deleted the following morning when I pulled up my messages. Probably avoided getting jumped and mugged that night. They probably thought a fat nerdy guy would be an easy mark. Well, I kind of got sexually assaulted. You can judge for yourself if my label is accurate, I'm not entirely sure. When I was 16, my friend, 17, asked me to eat her out. Since I wasn't getting any female attention and she was hot, I agreed. Became a regular thing. She would degrade me while I did it, wasn't into it at the time, and they weren't the normal kind of insults for that kink either, these were personal. Till the last time she told me to take my pants off. So I was excited, scrambling to take my pants off. Did not notice her phone was out cause it was halfway in her purse. As I get my dick out, she begins to laugh, then said, "What the fuck is wrong with it? I do have a slight deformity." Then told me to get out of her car, so I did. Turns out she snapped a picture of it and shared it around school. This whole experience had me on the edge of suicide. First sexual experience BTW. We were actually friends in kindergarten and first grade. I still don't know what I did to make her hate me so much. To do this to me. Back in my day, not every horny teenager could just use the internet to look at boobs. Oftentimes you had to go out and find them yourself. So when my girlfriend at the time called and said that her folks were leaving and that I should come by, I did not hesitate. However, I lived in a somewhat rural situation, it was winter and I could not drive a car yet. Fortunately, these are but small inconveniences to the libido of a 15-year-old. I walked nearly 10 kilometers through a snowstorm and across a frozen lake for those boobs. The lake was not frozen enough. I very vividly remember the booming sounds and the feeling of the ice cracking and huge sheets shifting and shuddering under me while I was near the center of the lake. I thought I was going to die, but I thought about the boobs waiting on the other side even more. I managed to make it across the lake and the last little ways to my girlfriend's house. Unfortunately for me, it takes a few hours to do that trip. I was there for less than 10 minutes before her parents got home and kicked my thirsty ass back out into the snow. I proceeded to walk 12 kilometers home, around the lake, still through a snowstorm. I was traveling in Mexico with friends about 14 years ago, when I was 20 years old. Before smartphones. I was at a club with my friends and I hooked up with a local, went home with him and didn't tell my friends where I was going. Ended up passing out during the deed and had some random girl and her partner shaking me awake. To know where the guy I was hooking up with, there was just a bunch of randoms in this house. The girl was giving me a lecture on the drive home about how dangerous what I did was and that this is Mexico. I didn't know where I was and they ended up driving me back to my hostel at 4 a.m. and I didn't remember where it was, so they dropped me at a bus stop that I remembered was close by and managed to walk back. My friends walked in the room the next morning at 9 a.m. I thought it was hilarious at the time, and now when I think about it, it scares the shit out of me. After a long day of driving, my friend and I found ourselves in a small logging town looking for a place to rest. We stumbled upon a local bar and decided to have a few drinks. While there, we struck up a conversation with some of the town's residents, including some local women who invited us to a house party. At the party, my friend hit it off with one of the girls and they ended up in her bedroom. However, to our surprise, the entire local football team showed up at the house shortly after. We were worried that we were in serious trouble, but to our amazement, they simply drove us back to our cars and told us to get the hell out of town. It seemed like country hospitality had prevailed. Holy shit, something very similar happened to me. Broke up with a girl, after she cheated on me, right after she demanded we be exclusive instead of just hooking up LOL, and she locked the door to her house behind her, put the key in her panties and told me that there was only one way out. As she was not very stable and I did not trust her, I thought of another way to get out, which was to call the non-emergency number for the police. Explained the situation to them, and that I was afraid to touch her as I could see her filing a false groping/rape report if I tried to get the key from her. The police person just sighed and told me to hand her the phone. She reluctantly agreed to let me go, and afterwards the policeman told me to never call them with this kind of issue again. Fuck them, I wanted this situation to be on record in case she tried to pull any shit. When I walked into the street, she still tried to prevent me from leaving by hanging onto my leg and crying, like a kid who wants their parents to buy them some candy at the store. I just wiggled my leg and noped the hell out of there. Fun times. Well over a decade ago, I got fucking shit hammered at a bar with a bunch of Marine buddies somewhere in San Diego. Last call happens. Way too drunk me meets way too drunk girl at the bar. Do a shot together and decide to dance it out for the 10 minutes left in the night. We furiously make out on the now well-lit dance floor. She invited me back to her place. Tell my buddies I'm going home with this girl. I run into another friend outside the bar, tell him where I'm going. She invites him along because she has a friend at home. Sure. He comes along. Fast forward to getting to her place and she says she's a med student or some shit. And we're going to a house party, not her house, but we'll go there after, but first we need to get her friend at the house party. Cool. 3 a.m., get to a house party. Drink a bunch more and then do some lewd shit on the kitchen counter/floor. Come back into the main room where my buddy has his hoodie pulled up over his head and is rocking back and forth talking about his dead dog and how much he loves and misses her. I sober up with a goddamn quickness and take a fucking look around. This is shady as fuck. Drugs are everywhere. The dudes at this party don't look super savory. I tell my gracious lady friend that we gotta get my buddy out of there, he's having a rough time. She suggests that we head back to her place now, and that her husband/boyfriend isn't there so we shouldn't worry. Apparently, he's a Marine and deployed. First I'm hearing of this. Me and my boy go outside, I tell him let's get the fuck out of there and he and I take the fuck off. She then calls and texts me for like a half hour calling me an asshole and all this other shit. Managed to get a ride back to the barracks. My buddy was drugged. He was offered and took a shot of something, and within a few minutes started tripping balls. Oh, and some dude pulled a knife on my buddy for no fucking reason. I got the feeling we were going to be rolled if we didn't leave when we did. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe for future videos just like this.